everybody, and welcome to Woke Wellness Wednesday. You are now at Stay Woke or Not for our amazing guest that's about to come up. Just if you can, please like and subscribe, and I get everybody in here because we're going to be fully loaded. And who do I have it per always? Alec Rabel.
Yeah. Let's get this going. I cannot wait to see this because this is going to be an interesting episode. This is going to be a fun episode. This is going to be a hype episode as per usual. Today's guest is one that we have been talking about for a while, and she is going to be a part of something coming up. So please keep your eyes out for that. Today we have on one of Dahlia's friends. She has a lot to say, not only about neurodivergency, about mental health, but also about the state of what's going on here in America, about some of the things that she has been seeing that need a little bit of improvements. And she has some thoughts that I'm very curious to see if you guys agree or if you guys have something to disagree with. So without further ado, we have our guest for today, Dahlia.
Candace Honecker.
Thank you guys.
Goody, buddy. That's right. Thank you so much for joining. We have Candace, and wait a second. I just wanted to let everybody know how we met, or should I even not go into it?
I think it's a pretty cool story. So
I know. Yeah. So I met Candace once upon a completely different life. And it was after my 5-year relationship, and I go to Craigslist to find a roommate. And I actually, dude, Candace, help me out here. How did I find you on Craigslist?
I think you posted an ad and I probably replied because I was moving from New Jersey to Portland and really needed a place to stay.
Yeah, and I had to have faith in the Craigslist universe that we were going to be great friends. And you're probably the longest friendship I've ever had off of Craigslist.
Oh, how many friends do you have off Craigslist?
I actually don't.
It seems like you're the only friend I have off of Craigslist.
Right.
You think I have a talk show with a spectrum full of people? I go to Craigslist.
Friendship is creepy to me.
Huh?
Everything about a Craigslist friendship, the concept and the idea behind it sketches me out. I'm glad this one works, but I'm not trying it. I'm not rolling those dice. No. Not today.
I mean, I basically just had faith that Dahlia actually had a place for me to stay when I moved all the way across the country with everything I owned. I didn't know you at all. We talked for a month, and then I moved in with you, and we had some fun times in Portland for a couple years. So Dahlia had to move back to LA.
I love it. Try Clubhouse friendship. Yep, and that's how I met Alec.
That's how Dahlia and I met.
I met through, puppet strings on the audio app. You was the whim and the mercy of needing something immediately.
Wow.
I needed it.
Okay.
Oh no, you know why? It's because we had the same haircut at the time.
We had the same haircut, and we were very similar in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited. Oh my God! Someone goes try an anime convention friendship.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Okay, we can't determine how we meet people online. I love it. Okay, cool. Well, welcome to Woke Wellness Wednesday. It is I, Dahlia. It is also Alec introducing Candace. And Candace, why don't you answer this? Who is Candace Honecker? Look in the mirror while you answer this question.
Oh, I have to also look at myself. Great. I don't know. I am Candace. I am a social worker in Portland, Oregon, which for anyone who knows, Portland is off the chain and has been for a couple years, just with homelessness and drug addiction. I've been doing that for 12 years. And then I am going to school for my master's in social work. And I also run a soap company, which is a newer thing. But yeah.
So tell us a little bit more. What made you get into social work?
So I originally went to school for journalism, and that did not work out. And I wanted to do psychology because I have a really crazy mom, and I'm from a really Italian, crazy ass family. And I wanted to kind of study how people's brains worked. And then after college, I got pretty addicted to drugs. And that turned working in this field into something different for me. Like I didn't really know so much. And then I became, you know, more understanding of like drug addiction and mental illness and mental health just from my own experiences, and like simultaneously used heroin and fentanyl while working in the field for a lot of years. Yeah. I'm very high functional when I use, and in grad school at one point too. Wow. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Doing all three. So working in a DV shelter, I've worked in like every aspect of this field. I've worked in inpatient treatment. I've worked in the psych ward. I do homeless outreach now. That's been the last couple of years. I worked at a home for people with schizophrenia. So I have a pretty wide range of crazy stories and experiences that I've encountered while working in social work.
More aware of what's really going on in this world. That is true. Yeah, I guess Alec, take the next questions from here.
Yeah, for sure. Can you share a little defining moments in your career? Like, what is there a moment or a point in time when you were doing this kind of work where you were like, this is my way to make the difference in the world, or this is my way to make my impact, or this is my way to change like this part or this aspect of what's going on in the community around me?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I have had a lot of jobs in social work. You know, I worked in treatment and I worked at residential mental health homes, but it really wasn't until I started working with the homeless that I felt like I was doing more and I was having a bigger impact. Like during the pandemic, I don't know if anyone's heard of like tiny home villages. It was a thing that started around that time because of we had to shelter in place. Like people on the street can't shelter in place. So they built like in downtown Portland by, you know where the Greyhound station is. It's a pretty concentrated area where there's like a lot of drug traffic, a lot of crime. They built these little shacks and there was like 30 of them, and they moved in a group of people that lived in the area, and they each had their own doors for the first time in like a really long time. And
when was that?
That was in 2021. So like a year into the pandemic. And we were dealing with not just the inside of the village, like, you know, overdoses all the time, like just crazy shit out on the streets. Like we would get shot at every day because there'd be like, you know, people fighting over drugs or whatever, like tents, you know, bursting into flames from like a propane heater being left on. And then people were stealing cars in Portland and dumping them in this area and lighting them on fire. So every couple of days, there'd just be a car just like...
Who's like, collecting the insurance?
I have no idea.
I mean, there has to be money in that. I mean, maybe I'm asking the wrong question, but someone is trying to get cop a paycheck real quick. They're like, yeah, I don't need to drive that.
Well, to be fair, though, like, okay, one of my clients down there, he had a van, and these tow companies would take them, strip them, and then make you pay to go. And they say, like, we found it like that. And it's in this area, so it must have been found like that, even though, like, dude drove it there and it was fine an hour before they picked it up. So they get money for the parts. They get money when you have to pay to get your car out of impound, or you don't, and then they get the whole car. Like, just crazy different shit like that was going on during the pandemic. Like, wow. Portland was bad before, but it like just ramped up. And we were having,
I had a friend calling me during that time, and he was just complaining over and over and over. Like, it sounded nuts. So I would say, how do you feel Portland handled the homelessness during the pandemic?
Oh, I mean, outside, I do think that the tiny home village was really important because we were a staple in the community, because people would overdose on the street and they would know that we had Narcan. They would know that we had food. They know we had hot coffee. So we weren't only helping the people inside, we were helping that whole area of Chinatown, which is huge and really, you know, it's just tents every block. So, I mean, that's one thing that they did with funds that was smart. I don't know how many other efforts I really saw outside. But now this tiny home village thing has taken off. There's like that. We were the first one. They moved us out of Old Town because it was too dangerous. We were getting shot at all the time. And I worked through all of that.
Did you ever have to work in a body vest?
No, but I was begging them for an active shooter training. We didn't even have that. So like one of the first times it happened, everybody came out of their houses and was going towards the bullets. And I'm like, I had them because I'd worked in the field for so long. You get down and you try to hide. You try to stay low to the ground.
Right.
And like nobody knew that. So all the clients were at risk. All the staff were at risk. It was just like, and this was a new agency. Like Portland put these 3 people together. They're like, here's this money. And none of them knew what they were doing. They didn't even have files when I started.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they actually ended up embezzling a lot of money.
Wait, seriously? How did they embezzle money?
They double billed the county and they couldn't say where 500,000. I shouldn't repeat it. Their name has changed, so it's fine. They changed
Spill the beans.
Yeah, they took the bosses on vacations, like things. Nonprofits do not have money to do that. They don't have money to take people to the beach and, give them bonuses and stuff like that. That just doesn't happen. And they owed the county over, it's like $500,000 that they couldn't account for.
How much?
$500,000.
Oh, that's like nothing. That's like 10 cars. That's 10 cars.
That's pocket change for Dahlia.
Right? I guess this is a question from the audience. Do you share your story as a way to help your patients, or do you use that as something to motivate yourself to help the people you work with?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I'm pretty reserved about sharing that with clients. I really only do it when I think it's appropriate and when it's helpful. Like most folks aren't going to really benefit from me saying that I know where they're coming from, because sometimes they don't want to hear it. But when I can see that someone's really trying and they need to hear like, I've been there, dude, it fucking sucks. And like, you can get out of it. That's when I share my story with clients. And it helps me stay clean, to be giving back and to like be doing something good with myself,
Would you consider yourself your mindset? Would you consider a mindset and perspective when it comes to helping other people humanitarian? Where it's like,
I think so. Yeah, I mean,
it's the giving back to humanity.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that like as a society, most of us don't treat people with respect and kindness. And I mean, I think that's just, there's not enough of it in the world. And especially people who like, homeless folks, most people won't make eye contact with them or like even acknowledge their existence. And like one social worker that I was working with at that time when I first started was like, imagine how like isolating it would be when like society does not acknowledge that you exist. Like imagine just going through every day like that. And I was like, wow, I've never thought about that, like,
whoa.
Yeah, I don't know.
You hit a chord on that one.
So here's my question, because back in 2019, I started a poetry series called "When Outcasts Cry," and every single poem that was part of the series was supposed to help you answer the question: if an outcast cries in a society that doesn't listen, did they make a sound? So here's my question: when it comes to homelessness, do you think that people are just not really doing anything about it because even though they're crying for help, people aren't listening?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so it's tough for me to say because I do work and live in Portland, and I feel like Portland, out of the rest of the country, we do have a lot of resources. We do have a lot of like, there's a group called PPOP. They're just a group of people that meet up and they hand out food, clean syringes, clean cooking kits for like drugs and stuff like that. They hand out Narcan, and that's just like in their spare time. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of free fridges where people can just go get groceries on the side of the road. So on one hand, I feel like Portland tries, but I feel like their bureaucratic and government aspect isn't doing the right things with the funds that they get for actual programs.
Yeah, I remember I was working at Microsoft when I lived in Portland, and this guy had a really beautiful dog and he was homeless. And then he told me that he got free dog care, and I was so jealous of this guy. I was like, are you serious? I'm spending money on rent and work, and you get this beautiful dog and it's taken care of for you? You're out of your mind. Out of your mind.
It's a mixed bag. My sister just came here from New Jersey, and we were like, I just adopted a puppy, and I took her to Paw Team, which is a place where I get free pet food. I can get, because I'm considered low income, free pet food, free flea medication, toys, that kind of stuff, and they have it available. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say, because then I feel like they also, like, I've been working in Clackamas County, and they threw a bunch of money at 10-year housing vouchers for folks. And basically,
what does that mean?
So your rent would be paid for 10 years.
10 years? I thought you meant a tenor. Like, this is how long. I was like, what? 10 years? Well, all right, everyone in the audience, what would you do with yourself if your rent was paid for 10 years?
10
Write
years.
it in the comments. Let me know you're real. Tell me right now, what would you do if you're 10 years? I thought you said tenor.
I gotta know. I gotta know the answer to that question. Holy crap.
So yeah, for a market rate apartment, like a regular, what you and I pay for our rent, like covered. But what they're doing is like, so they're taking someone who's been in a tent for fucking, however many years. And they're like, oh, here's a brand new apartment around neighbors. And like, you have now electricity to take care of, and you have to like, act like a normal person inside. There's no in between. So I have a caseload of 30 people. I have one person that has been successful. Everyone else has been evicted almost immediately, or lost their voucher, or committed a crime. I had a guy get murdered. I had another dude. He owes our county has to pay $100,000 in damages for 3 apartments that he destroyed. What? He got high and he turned his water heater on and just left it on for like a month, and it flooded all the people that work and pay their rent. 10 apartments below him flooded. So I don't know. It's tough. That's why I decided to go back to school, because I think that they need somebody that's had addiction, struggled with it, come out of it, telling them like, you can't give a drug addict a free apartment. And they also gave them $200 a month towards electricity, just in a blank check. And do you think anyone paid their electricity? No, they all used it for what the fuck ever,
Wow.
So as much as like, obviously everyone deserves shelter and housing, they're not doing it the right way. Like, they're just throwing money down the drain. There needs to be an in-between where people are rehabilitated and like, gradually baby step into like living inside again. It's a big transition for folks. Like, a lot of them get really depressed. Like, they end up using more that they're inside, because there's community outside. You live around, 20 other people who are like, not to say like, the drag society, but like the part of society that nobody wants. You're all a team. You're in it together. And then they go to this like little apartment where they're isolated. It ends up just not going very well.
Interesting. You gotta, so you take care of Gotham City is what you're telling me. I like to think I'm Bruce Wayne, and then obviously you're Alfred, and Alec is Robin, and we're gonna make sure.
I'm not wearing tights. Nobody wants to see that.
Catwoman. Catwoman's the Michelle Pfeiffer version. Yeah.
Hey, if you guys are just joining the stream, we are asking Candace Honaker, a social worker straight from Portland, who also has witchy soaps. So invite some more people. It's about to get a little more heavy because we're talking about Gotham City. Oh, that rhymes. Oh, so good sometimes. Okay. Alec, take the next question for me.
Yes, ma'am. Ooh, here we go. So what?
Juicy.
we've had a couple of conversations where this term has been brought up. So yeah, just to find like a definition right now, what is harm reduction and what does that entail?
Okay, so harm reduction is a couple of things. So harm reduction is basically not requiring people to be completely abstinent. It's trying in small gradual ways to reduce the harm from their use, whether that's like, we don't inject anymore, we just smoke our drugs, or like for me, I practice harm reduction recovery, but mine is very specific. I don't use anything hard. I smoke weed and I occasionally do psychedelics. Like that's my harm reduction. And I used to do, I used to inject heroin every day. So like I've reduced the harm, but I'm not abstinent. And in terms of like my work, that's the approach we come to people, like especially folks on the street, because you're not going to be like, oh, hey, if you want to get into housing, you have to quit everything you're doing right now. Like that's not going to happen. And they're not going to trust you. They're not going to, build rapport with you or want to work with you because you're kind of like NA and 12-step can be a bit judgy. And I don't want to like shit on it, but I've had really bad experiences with 12-step recovery. And I think harm reduction really makes room for everybody and every kind of, if you're just wanting to change your use and reduce, I need weed. That is like how I survive. Like,
yeah, I was having a panic attack before this episode. And I guess I'm using harm reduction when I get ready for a show like this. Okay, next question. I'm going to ask it. So when I met you, I think we related because we both thought we were bipolar, but I want to know, as a person who deals with your own neurodivergence, which I'd love for you to embellish on, how does helping others help you?
For sure. I remember us having that conversation years ago, and like I definitely was struggling with a lot more, I think, symptoms of what now I know is ADHD. And I think for me, it makes sense as to why I did opiates for so long. Like my brain is really loud and I needed it to be quiet. And like, just racing thoughts, that kind of thing. And like, I only learned that, I'm 33. I learned that 2 years ago that I've had ADHD probably my whole life. And for me, like helping folks, it's a good use of my skills because I'm so all over the place and kind of like chaotic and a lot of energy. I think, especially working out on the streets, like you're running to crises, you're dealing with this person and going to court for this person. And like, that's a perfect use of my skills. And like, I could never sit in an office all day and just like, I don't know what people do when they sit in an office, but it's not for me.
You had a question earlier. Where did it go? Do you consider yourself more of a counselor or a social worker?
So technically, you kind of can't call yourself a social worker unless you have a master's degree. But we all, in the field, consider ourselves in that realm. I'm going to school to get my MSW, which would make me an actual social worker, but I do social work. It's social justice reform. I do a lot of advocacy. A counselor would be more like a therapist, and that also requires a larger degree to official.
Wait, could you repeat the last part?
So like a counselor is more like, I don't know, that's like one-on-one, like a therapist.
Right.
I do more outside, boots on the ground, like helping people in the community. I have a caseload of folks, but they're all outside. So I do one-on-one, I do counseling type stuff with them, but a lot of it is more like, we're trying to get you Social Security. We're putting out fires. We're like making sure you have food, that you have a tent to sleep in at night until we can help you get into housing.
Wow, we've got people watching from TwitchCon 2022. If you remembered me there, whoop, whoop. Appreciate you, xClouds. Okay, so I guess you're not bipolar. You do have ADD, but you get to freaking feel like an octopus when you're working with a bunch of people. This kind of leads into the next question. Alec, if you want to take it, go ahead.
So what are some differences in working in social work between the East and the West Coast? Because I'm sure it's East and West Coast have different cultures, different ways of going about things, different like social norms, social interaction, what people expect from that. So since you were in New Jersey and now you're in the West Coast, what are some differences that you have noticed, and would you say there are differences between like the way other people typically go about it where you are now versus on the East Coast?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like just culturally already very different, but I think the biggest one that I would have to say is just the attitudes around people that struggle with mental health or substance abuse. Like out here, it's more of an accepting, understanding kind of place. We see it so often. It's in your face. People aren't okay with it, but they are kind to the people they see on the street a lot of the time. They give them food. Like I think there's a more like cultural understanding that like some people just struggle. Whereas on the East Coast, there's not a lot of resources available. There's not a lot of programs. They just don't, it's almost like they don't want to admit like there is problems like homelessness and addiction. And New York, that's where tons of heroin comes into the country. There's like the opiate epidemic strongly hits New York, West Virginia, New Jersey, Philly. Like they also need programs like some of the ones we have out here. There's not enough resources out there being spent on like treatment and, you know, recovery housing, that kind of thing. Those resources just don't even exist.
Wow.
Why do you think West Coast has more resources versus the East Coast?
I mean, we're more liberal. So, you know, I think like politically, of course, there's going to be more publicly funded things. They're going to put things back into the community. Whereas like a lot of the, you know, while I think, okay, I'm from New Jersey, which is a blue state, but I'm from a very conservative area. I could never imagine seeing a food bank or fucking going to a needle exchange. I looked for a needle exchange when I was in New Jersey and an addict. There was one in the whole state. Here, there's like 6 going on at any time where someone could like get clean syringes so they don't get HIV or Hep C. Like we need harm reduction supplies. Like we need that kind of shit. And I think the West Coast is just more forward thinking and more liberal and understands that just because you're giving out needles doesn't mean you're, you know, giving people the means to use drugs. They're going to find a way anyway, you know? That's a big thing where like people don't want to give out cleans is like you're giving people the means to use. They're going to get high, whether they have to go to the pharmacy and fucking buy them or they pick one up out of the trash. They're going to get high the way they want to get high.
I forgot right when I moved to Portland, I think at the time my boyfriend was like, don't go in the water. And he saw a syringe just floating like in the ocean. And I was like, ah! Like I didn't go in at all. But yeah, that was my introduction to Portland. That was nuts.
That doesn't surprise me.
Gotta take a blanket now to match that energy. Awesome, guys. If you guys are still in the stream, invite more people. We got another 30 minutes in here. We got some questions. We got some answers. Also, okay, here we go. We got one. Never heard of harm reduction before. What benefits have you seen with harm reduction?
I mean, I think harm reduction really makes room for anyone to like better their situation. I participate in a harm reduction outpatient group, and like people that come in where they're like, I don't want to stop drinking at all. They'll start to like, with the help of like the group and like talking about little ways we change our use patterns. Like I've seen people like stop drinking or stop, you know, using hard drugs. Like when I started, I was still using, and like just from the benefit of the group, like I was able to put down all of the hard shit. It is fucking amazing.
It is fucking amazing. It's what I do for people. Like, I guess my curiosity is like, what would the day in the life of a social worker look like?
Like job wise?
No, like you in a given week, right? You're telling me that you had to go serve court papers, and then all of a sudden you're dealing with someone who burned down a building. Like, yo, what does a daily day or week look like in your life?
Oh God. Like, I mean, just any amount of crazy fires, like nothing phases me anymore. I've gotten calls for just like the most wild shit, and nothing surprises me at this point.
Wow.
You know, I had a lady whose boyfriend like covered her in gasoline and lit her on fire.
What?
I had to that was a fucking rough one.
Whoa.
Meet her at the hospital and like watch them like, you know, sit with her while they bandaged her up and and she had to have lots of surgery so shit like that. From like, I have a guy with one leg that, you know, paintballs the inside of his apartment every couple days. And I've gone there and I've cleaned that shit with him, so he doesn't get, you know, when the maintenance.
Wait, why does he paintball his own apartment?
He just gets high and he loves paintball. And I was like, bro, I will build you a cardboard box with little, you know, targets, and we can just shoot that. Let's just like not destroy the place. Let's not bust out the
production. Just shoot at the card.
Just shoot in the fucking cardboard box. At the cardboard. I always know when he's been paintballing because there's a trail going up to the door of like, you know, paint. Oh, it's just wild. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of things I do with folks is like going to get them food boxes, taking them to court, trying to get them Social Security, disability, that kind of stuff, but also crises.
I guess I have a question that just now is coming up, and I think it's a good one. I think when you're doing social work and you're giving them these services and they think that's kind and whatnot, how do you keep your life private? Like when they're saying, oh, hey, can I have your phone number? Right? Because they're almost treating you like an on-site doctor, what have you. Like, how do you keep it where it's like, no, dude, you were the like work shift. You're not my best friend. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I have certifications and a degree and stuff where like we did have to go through trainings to keep things ethical, but that still happens. Like, especially men, they try to like, oh, like now that we're not working together. No, like I have to just have a hard boundary. I've learned over the years to just keep pretty much everything about me to myself. I ask all the questions. I try to like, you know, have them lead the conversation. And I've like very, you know, anything I give them is nothing like revealing about, you know, where I come from or whatever. Like, I just have to be very particular with what information that I share. But I've gotten really good at it, just being like very professional. So there's other positions, like there's peer supports. Those are typically folks that are like, they don't have as much experience, but they came out of addiction. I would qualify for one, but I don't like that role. But they can have more of a friendship type relationship with folks. They can text them late at night. They can take calls outside of work hours. Like I, in my role, can't do stuff like that and would not want to, thank God. But yeah, I'm fine. It's gotten much easier to do that.
Candace, I think you need to get 2 separate phones.
Oh, I do. I have a work phone. Yeah, I have a work phone. Yeah, I have a work car too.
Oh,
yeah. We get paid shitty, but we get a nice car. Wait, what?
Like, I'm still minimum wage, but I got 2 phones. Like I'm a dealer. No.
Right?
Jokes. Kidding.
You know what though? Recently I had a guy who moved into an apartment down the street from me, and I was like, fuck, this guy lives so close to me now. I'm gonna run into him at some point. And of course I did, fucking getting coffee one morning, and I was just like, yeah, I live in the neighborhood, but I don't live anywhere near here, even though I'm like right behind the fucking coffee place. So
you ran into him.
I run into this dude pretty often now at the little coffee shop down the street.
Have you ever had a moment of like them stalking you?
Oh yeah. There was a guy who, when I worked at the tiny home village, he was shooting up meth and steroids at the same time, and he would get crazy, and he would just be like, he would rip his shirt off and he would start like running around like this, carrying a knife, just like saying crazy stuff. And I was his case manager, and he got obsessed with me, and he started being inappropriate, and I reported it. And then we chose to exit him. So like put him back on the streets, which was like really hard for me to like, even like, I felt so guilty, even though he had been, you know, inappropriate X amount of times. but he,
when does it get to a point as a social worker where they're like, okay, so and so can't work with you anymore?
I mean, sometimes it depends on the behavior, and it depends on, like, if it's something small, they'll give them the opportunity to, like, okay, you can't do this anymore, but you can still work with this person. And he was given warnings. And I think, with that, the sexualized behavior, it was like 3 times. And then they're like, okay, we're choosing to exit him. And I felt bad about it. But at the same time, like, I have to be protected. I think he had threatened me. And then he ended up following me.
What did he threaten you with?
He had come up with the knife, and he was saying a bunch of crazy stuff about wanting to stab me and the other guy in the office. I think it was something like that. But he ended up coming after he got exited. He came in a ski mask, all black, but it was like a hot day. So I noticed it. I was getting in my car because they know what our shifts are. And I parked right outside, and he tried to run towards my car, and I just hit the gas and just really missed him. Yeah,
that is insane.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get a video? Oh man, God, I want to know so much. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, you could have. That would have been but that also, I think that would have if you got a video that, and if that went viral in any way, shape, or form, that might have brought some attention to some things that were not meant to the public.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
totally I guess it's better.
Guy's obsessed with her, and then all of a sudden she gets off her shift, and now he starts. Didn't you say meth and steroids at the same time? Yeah. This is the same guy, right?
Yeah.
Meth and steroids.
Yeah, and would hit the roof. And I do think organically had something else mental health related going on, because I'd seen him sober, and I was like, you're not all there. There's something else going on here. Kind of thing. So I had a lot of empathy for this man. I was like, even though he was so crazy with us, I could be like, I don't think he knows what he's doing all the time, if that makes sense. So, but shit like that happens. I don't know. After that, they just walked me to my car all the time. I had a chaperone to walk me to my car.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, after a stunt like that, you gotta take extra steps to make sure.
Wait, I just realized you're a few steps to a celebrity. You have 2 phones and you have security guards.
I have an entourage.
And you live on the West Coast. Hey, here we go.
Oh.
I sat together. I was like, wait, hold on. It's okay. Next question. Also, yes, she is a real gangsta. Thank you so much, Tell Double. Yeah, she is a real one. That's why we had her on the show. She's my road dog villain for life. And we finally got her here, and it took a freaking long time. But we'd like to know, now that we know what what did you really say? East Coast doesn't. Okay, you answer that. The East Coast and West Coast thing. Okay, Alec, go ahead and take the question.
So how do you feel about the current state of the United States? Because this is something I'm very curious about. So how do you feel about the current state of the United States when it comes to dealing with mental health? Because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine from Switzerland at one point, and we were talking about trends, and one of the things that I said, what name would you give the current era that we're in? Mm-hmm. And he mentioned that how on social media, especially a lot of Americans who have TikTok, a lot of them will touch on mental health at one point or another, in their content creation journey. So he called it the Iron Age, because iron sharpening iron, and also pumping iron because everyone's posting the workout videos. Right. So when it comes to United States specifically, do you think we're kind of leaning in the right direction, or we're kind of in the neglecting direction when it comes to mental health?
I think culturally we're leaning in a positive direction, because it seems like, especially Gen Z, there's so much more information online about neurodivergence and depression and any mental illness. You could find a bajillion content creators who talk about their experience. And I think in that respect, it's a good thing. There's a benefit to that. You're spreading awareness. You're letting people know that like they're not alone in that struggle, where I think, you know, we've come from a place of, you know, like I have boomer parents who think depression is just like, just stop being sad. Like that's not it either. But I think that we could be doing more in a public health sense. Like Canada has free healthcare, and they have, you know, clinics where people can go and use drugs safely. They have more access to therapy and mental health medication. Like medication's fucking expensive as shit. Most people can't afford it. Even on, like in Oregon, we have amazing socialized medicine, but even that, like there's a lot of issues with it. Like just comparatively though, you know, I don't think it's as easy to get in other states. I know for New Jersey, I didn't even hear back for like 3 years when I qualified.
Yeah.
I was muted. Oopsie. That sounds like my baby mama. LOL. Stop being sad. Also, this is from Randy Vision. Love you, my baby. What keeps Candace going, and why is she fighting the good fight?
Oh, you know, that's tough, because I've definitely had some moments where like I've had to take a break from this work. I took the last, you know, few months off, and then I've taken other time away from it. But I think that there's not enough people doing the right thing and giving back. And it's such a, like, so many of these issues are just so ignored that like there needs to be more people like fighting the good fight and doing the right thing, because we don't have enough of that. And that's why I'm going to school now, because I feel like, you know, especially with what I've seen in the last couple of years, they need people that have experienced this firsthand, like giving them some guidance on what to do with homelessness and drug addiction, especially here on the West Coast.
Also, getting checked for mental illness or learning disability is mad expensive too. How expensive is it to? Well, yeah, you end up in the hospital with a hospital bill.
Well, also just going to a psychiatrist or or just psychologist in general to get checked for what learning disability would you fall under, and getting those tests done where you have to go through these tests and quizzes and reading exams and all these things to figure out, okay, here's where you struggled, which means that based on your struggles, you fall under this category. You have to pay a professional to do that. So just to find out what like disorder, ADHD, autism, when it comes to dyslexia, when it comes like whatever it ends up being, you have to go to somebody who knows how to psychologically diagnose based on the signs that you give off.
And so most psychiatrists are like, you know, they could be like $300 an hour.
Yeah.
Like just to be, yeah. Therapist, same thing, you know.
So I shouldn't expect to go to my anti-anxiety meds to get my.
No, you should probably sell them for more. No, I'm just kidding. Don't take my advice. Take Candace's.
No, don't. I know who that is. Don't do that.
Or not. I put the or not in there, so just calm your tits, okay?
No, but like literally, I'm gonna need you to just fucking don't, because it's a little triggering.
Struggling with getting diagnosed. I mean, are you definitely like guaranteed pay because you're under a government facility, or are you working for like mom and pop shops? Like, I don't know.
So I work, like currently I work for a really large nonprofit in Portland, which like I've worked for small ones, I've worked for large ones. The benefit to working for a big one is I have really good benefits, which are needed. Like I needed time off recently and I got paid for it. I got my full wage, which I've never had that before for my own mental health, because this work is really overwhelming. You know, the smaller ones, like the one that stole $500,000 from the county, have their own issues. So
yeah. I can imagine they do, yeah.
And that's not the first time I've seen that. I've actually, it's fucking gross.
We got a question from the audience. Randy Vision, what's your 5-year game plan?
So I'm currently working on getting my master's, and when I'm done with school, which I will be in 2 years, I want to start working for the county here in Multnomah, and I want to like be the person that like creates programs and tells them how to like use their funds to help people. I think there needs to be an in-between, which there was this guy, I read his book, and it's all about homelessness on the West Coast. And basically he talks about you can't have people on the streets shoved into apartments. You need to have a middle ground. And he talks about basically like a shelter, but there's ways to work yourself up to like, you know, having your own room and like basically giving people small attainable goals. You know, taking your mental health meds and you move to your own room. You start like going back to work and we'll pay for your rent for a year. Not giving people 10 years of free rent and just being like, peace, good luck, you know, like actually
I think that's too much free rent all at once. Like, how come I can't get that? And should we talk later about that? Because I want the 10-year free rent.
I could get it.
Okay, if you guys want to talk to Candace, you can reach out to Stay Woke or Not DMs, and then I will forward it to her. Okay, I introduce her to you. You're welcome. Okay. Oh my God, this is too funny. Trump or Kamala?
Question. This is a very good question. We would all like to know what the answer is.
That's not what we're asking. We're asking if it's Trump or Kamala.
Oh my God, I think they're both awful choices, honestly. I think Kamala's a pawn for the fucking Democratic Party. I don't know. And I am a bleeding heart liberal, but I think that it's too suspicious that, you know, we acted like our president was fine. And then we saw that he was not. And they were like, oh, she's the worst vice president ever. And now you're the candidate for the Democratic Party. I would have loved Bernie, but, you know.
Oh, man. Did I tell you when I flew back from Virginia, Bernie Sanders shook my hand? I was about to say Bernie Mac.
I love that.
Bernie Sanders shook my hand. He's like, you're a good kid. And I was like, what? And it felt like Disneyland in the airport. It was crazy.
I'm so jealous.
It was insane. Insane. Yes, I did get to shake Bernie Sanders' hand. This is from the comments from you, Rubik's Lubix. You have to have them work for it when it's not given to them, because you can't keep rewarding their behavior and what they've been doing and what they're doing by giving them housing if they don't fix the problem.
Absolutely. That's been my whole thing. Like, you know, like I know for myself, if I'm in active addiction and someone gives me some free apartment, I'm not going to go back to work. I'm not going to go try to get clean because there's nothing to work for. You're giving me everything I need. I'm going to sit inside and get high.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty simple. And like, I just don't, they're seeing now that it's not working and they're like having to backtrack. So,
well, I mean, just like if you're giving a child an incentive, you're going to build up to the, you know, part where they get a trip to go to Disneyland. You're not going to be like, oh, cool, you took out the trash, now we go right away. You know what I mean? So same goes for the government mental health system at large. Okay. If you're listening now, take notes. All right. All right, Alec, where are you? Let's get some energy up in here. Go ahead and take the next question.
So how do you feel about the government services such as healthcare and housing are benefiting your clients? This is something I'm very interested in because I am part of some government services as well. So I'm very interested to hear what do you think about this?
Well, I mean, I talked a little bit about the housing, but I think that there needs to be more access to low income housing. Rent needs to be lowered in most places and like give people access to, you know, being able to live inside most people don't make a lot of money and can't afford it. There's not enough resources for people like on the precipice of being homeless. If you're out on the streets for 10 years, we're giving you this voucher. But if you like need help paying your electricity to not get booted out of your apartment, there's no help for you. You have to have a shut off notice. You have to have an eviction notice before you can get help with like even little things. So I think like that's one thing. With healthcare, I don't know how it is other places. We in Oregon have amazing socialized medicine. It's like you could get you could apply for Oregon Health Plan and get it turned on the next day and be able to see a doctor.
Oh.
And it pays for transgender surgery. It like pays for most medications. Yeah. Like we have amazing fucking socialized medicine here. Mm-hmm.
Whoa, is that what made you go to Portland in the first place? This is how I found you on Craigslist? Is this the reason why? 9 years later.
I had no clue. I mean, I had a guy that had to have like a bunch of open heart surgeries just on Oregon Health Plan. He didn't have to pay anything. There's no copay. The cap is like really high for like your income. I had it up until very recently with my work insurance. But yeah, I don't know. But I know that everywhere else, it's not like that. We need more access to
California needs Candace to beat Gotham. We have our own version of Gotham out here. It's called Los Angeles. It's called Skid Row. It's scary as hell. Yeah, we need Candace's programs. Can you just become famous on us and then start your program? And obviously, it's because you were on this talk show that you had the interview debuted before. Okay, let's move to Oregon. I'm done. All right. Candace is what sold Oregon. How many other takers? That's crazy. If they're going to pay for transgender, like the what? That's insane. I'm sure
top and bottom
life hack for anybody that's trying to go through the transition. All right, move your ass to Oregon. Mm-hmm.
There was this really good interview Theo Vaughn did with Bernie Sanders, and they it's so fucking good. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so simple. And he like explains it like, yeah, it's fucking badass.
Theo Vaughn is one of my favorite podcasters. I swear to you.
It's because you kind of look like him.
The moment he told me that reindeer are basically just like gay deer, I was sold.
I love him. He's one of my favorite
podcasts. He said that a bridge is just a road that's braid as fuck. I was like, yes, I'm with you, brother.
What's the fucking one? Like, I'm upstairs or whatever. What is the fucking shit? The one thing he says.
Where he's like, oh no, it's just a little bit of daytimeism. Daytime racism. You didn't even know you had it. You're like, what is that?
I don't know enough Theo Vaughn to
funny. I'm gonna text you the link for his podcast.
So funny.
The ADD is stick with us. We're still live.
We are still live.
I know. Let's get into the next question. Okay, do me a flavor, Candace.
What just happened?
I changed character. Candace, can you tell us what made you start Grey Gardens?
So Grey Gardens is my, I guess, gothic soap and bath and beauty product company. A friend and I, who also worked in social work, we hated our jobs and we were like, we need to do something that's like self-care for ourselves and also like maybe a way to not work in the field anymore. So we started making soap together, and then she didn't really stick with it and I did. And now this is how I get out, all my stress from my job, and like I have a really, big creative side to me. And I think this is a good way to funnel that into something.
Okay, everybody, I'm going to be showing you where to get this Autumn Equinox with Sugar Scrub. That's right. Candace not only helps everybody externally, but also internally. Look at these products. This is insane.
Right.
It's like I planned on saying what I said. Oh my God, a bad apple soap bar. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Okay. Sounds like apple and sage.
GreyGardenBeauty.com. Ooh. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
The first time I brought that to a market, I sold out. It smells so good. And I don't normally like hype it up like that, but that one I'm obsessed with.
I actually do like what I make. Fucking weird. Fucking weird.
No, my stuff's
Whoa, you make products with cannabis?
So it doesn't have THC, but it smells like a really good combo of weed and sandalwood and vanilla. And it's my new product that I've been bringing out.
I want someone to buy this for me. You missed my birthday last week. Okay.
I can send you a little sample for your birthday.
Well, I need to send you a little, we got the
I'm just really ADHD and forget to go to the post office, but
I know it's like a whole trip you have to take. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so I gotta get you stuff, and definitely we want this Portland to LAX pipeline. Maybe we vend together at some point, which would be really exciting. So the history with Candace starts here, but does end here. Okay.
No, it does not.
Yeah, and then also. Just to let you guys know, if you guys want to support the show, please. This is the website, Stay Woke or Not. This is some merch. You guys see it on my head. We are sold out of the black beanies. If you guys really want me to bring back the black beanies, I need at least 5 people to try to purchase today because your girl's strapped for cash. We also got phone chargers. Hey, Brandon's in this. Oh, yeah. Our producer who's behind the scenes. He's right.
I like that.
Right? This little neck gator is cute as heck. Got a I think the guy goes by C80. Yeah.
Is that what they're called? A gator?
Yes, it's called a neck gator.
I guess so.
Guys, in latest news, all the coffee is able to be ordered. So if you guys want to stay woke, here's the coffee assortments. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link below. I need a black beanie. Everybody needs a black beanie. We need black beanies and soap. This is why we got to find places to go.
That's right.
I know. Oh, there we go. My boyfriend. You girls should vend at the Off the Grid camp out.
What's that?
Okay, to be continued. BTS talk. BTS. Okay. Yeah, so these are the newest flavors. We have a commercial coming up with it. What was it? Any last questions from the audience while we start to wrap it up, and then go ahead.
Well, I guess here's my question for Candace. What made you want to take the direction of making soaps?
I mean, okay, personally, I love bath and beauty products. I love makeup. I love being girly. I don't honestly get to dress up as much as I'd like to for work. But no, I've always been really into beauty products and skincare. And I also minored in art in college, and art's been a huge part of my life. And it's something creative I can do with my hands that also is something I care about, which is skincare.
Sure.
And good stuff, shit.
Okay, cool.
You
decided to just be a badass and be like, you know what? I like beauty products. I'm going to make my own line of beauty products.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure I can make it better. Yeah. That's probably.
Wait, is this a bad time to ask my last question?
What's the last question?
Probably. Why?
How do you see the next 4 years going?
It fucking really depends. I don't know. It depends who wins this fucking election.
Depends on how much soap you buy right now. No.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's great.
It depends. It fucking depends. You can go either way.
Yeah, I feel you. Any last questions from the audience? Do drop a line right now. If you loved it, like and subscribe. As always, you can grab some brew and a hoodie at staywokenot.com. And if you want to get clean because being woke was way too much, go get something at greengardensbeauty.com. You know?
You're going to make it sound dirty, Dahlia. You can't do this.
Wait, well, I'm the dirty. She's the clean. We figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
That means we're the dirty. She's the clean. No.
Shit. We got it all wrong. Rewrite. Okay.
Wait. We can edit that out, right?
What?
Shit, this is live. No, we can't edit that out.
Yeah, there's no. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. If you guys want to talk to Candace one-on-one without me, I don't think you should. This is her Grey Gardens Beauty Instagram. I'm very protective and territorial. I'm sorry.
I know you are. I know.
I love it. It's very cute.
I just love how you threw it in there, kind of nonchalant. If you
come on the talk show, maybe she'll give you a discount, but it depends on the next 4 years of America, if you might even get.
No. Actually, I'm offering 20% off right now if you sign up for my email. There you go.
The state of the political climate is determined how much soap you buy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Buy the soap we need in the next 4 years to be good. Buy her soap.
We need it to be clean.
Witchy soap, and then you'll be able to get your prayers answered.
All right, we're gonna clean up America 1 bar soap at a time.
1 bar at a oh girl. Oh, okay, girl, don't tempt me. We tempting you. That is what we are doing. You want me to do it again? I'll tempt you, honey. Yes.
All right, we need to cut this before it gets to utter chaos.
I know. I want to smell.
Oh, utter chaos. Utter chaos. Okay, wait. The new arrival. Okay, just one more time. I just want to look. Okay.
Oh my
God. I don't even have everything up there. Oh, I love the little. I love it.
This one has to be your bestseller, right?
It's one of my best-selling soaps for sure. Yeah.
Whoa, cocoon butter.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you do Ayurveda medicine through your soap, but yet you deal with the social public for a profession.
Girl,
I never thought about that, but
I kind of just dawned on me right now. It's like, I will help your insides and your mind. All right, guys, thank you so very much. This has been Stay Woke or Not episode, Adventures of a Social Worker. If you guys did love it, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Also, comment after the stream. Appreciate you. Love you. Candace, any last words? Alec, any last words?
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
No, stay woke or not, asshole. Stay woke.
And remember,
or not.
stay woke or not.